Right, you've probably seen it, and if you haven't seen it, you may just check out BBC Letter, and then you'll see it, or you'll go to Twitter, or you'll do anything with your day. But we've got a Brexit vote over here in UK in around about 4 hours. But until then, all everybody wants to talk about seemingly is this Gillette advert. And when those things do come up, I get a lot of people tweeting me at SimonMeller316, and they say, Simon, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And usually, sometimes I think to myself, do I really want to weigh in on this? Because you can't win. You can't, because no matter what I say, somebody will agree and somebody will disagree, and people will get mad. But that you don't shy away from those things. I've said it on What Culture videos we've done before that it's easy to do the easy things. So therefore, when the hard things come up, it's doubly more important to do it, because otherwise you're selling yourself out a little bit. I mean, WWE Crown Jewel last year was the big thing. Everyone said, oh no, you shouldn't do ups and downs, you shouldn't ups and downs. Like, well, sure, we have to do it, and we have to talk about the good bits and the bad bits. That is literally what ups and downs is all about. Anyway, so for starters, my name is Simon Miller. Thank you for joining me here today. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've never before. We do a bunch of crazy stuff. You can just go look at the channel itself and figure it out. But one of the things is to do with vlogs, and this one kind of ties in to a vlog I did on Thursday, at some point last week, when we talked about Andy Murray retiring, him crying, what it means to be a man, what masculinity is, yada, yada, yada. You can just go watch that one if you want my opinion on it. Then on Monday, or Tuesday, I should say, Gillette released this advert where it's no longer, I can't remember the specific now, but it's not the best the man can get, it's like the best man you can be. The idea being that the world has changed, we've gone through a lot with this Me Too movement stuff, and men need to, do better, basically, is the idea. And in the advert, you see both negative role models and you see positive role models, and that's the kind of thing. When I saw it, I thought it was a very well put together advert. I thought it had a good message. But there was a side of me where I was like, I can already see what's going to happen here. And then I went to, I didn't even look around. It was just there. It was on trending Twitter and all that stuff. And, excuse me, something in my mouth. And a problem that a lot of people had with it is they think that it paints, they think it's pandering to whatever we'll call it the PC movement, the political correctness movement, because that's the term people use. And they think that it craps on, the people that are offended by it. And I want to point out before I go on, if you're offended by it, that's totally cool. Like, I've got, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. Me personally, I believe the way that some people react to it, because they think it's wrong, is bad. Because I see a lot of stuff on Twitter. I know Twitter's a small bubble world, but still I see it. And it's aggressive and it's rude. I never agree with that. I think we should always be able to talk out our problems and be respectful to one another, because what I believe should be respected, and so should yours belief. But that's the idea. They think that it panders to this PC movement, and it paints all men in a bad light. And I don't necessarily, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that was the case at all, because in the video, again, you see men doing good things and you see men doing bad things. The message being, you have to be held accountable for your bad actions. But within the advert, it's men holding other men accountable. And I guess my thing with it mainly was, if you are somebody, and again, you think what you think, but if you are somebody who believes it is a advert that completely says all men are bad, I don't know where. Well, it's twofold. I don't really see where you're coming at it from that angle from, because I didn't take it away from that, and I consider myself to be a good person, a righteous person, a moral person. I'd never do anything like, the bad things that I represented in that video, I would never do. I never think about doing. It's not in my chemical makeup. But you see the other side of the coin. That's what I don't understand. Like, you see, the idea is, this is the situation an advert mainly should represent the times we find ourselves in. That's why when we watch adverts from the 70s, you're like, isn't it all silly and fun? I mean, not a lot of them are actually really bad these days. But again, it's the context of the time, both the negative and the positive. And kind of what Gillette has done here is, they've looked at everything's going on, maybe looked at their tagline, a best a man can get, and say, this doesn't really, it's not really the right message we want to send out there. I don't know. I'm not part of Gillette's marketing team. They never asked me. But it was a fascinating thing. And I think the thing that I found most interesting is that it comes back to exactly what we were talking about a few days ago. What does it mean to be a man? What is masculinity? And from what I can take away, and again, if you disagree, that's what the comment box is for. I won't turn off comments. The only comments I ever delete are ones that I believe to be properly racist, bigots, anti-Semitic. I'll get rid of them because I don't want to see them at all. I think there's no excuse for that. You can say I'm wrong with that as well. But otherwise, I'll engage you. I'll engage you in dialogue as long as it's respectful. I think that's what's important. But I just think it comes down. It's all about what this idea of masculinity is. And the reason I think that adverts like the Gillette one are important to a certain degree is because it's shining a light on the negative stuff in the world. And as much as it sucks, because again, you may be like, well, I've never done anything like this. Well, it's not about you. Sometimes to get rid of the badness, that does have to be what's highlighted more than anything else, because it's like a newspaper article. What do newspapers run? They run the bad stories, they run the negative stories, say with news channels, because for some reason there's more of a story to that than man or woman does good thing. People don't want to read that. I mean, you do want to read that, but they don't sell newspapers. I'm not saying this is about selling. Well, I guess it is to a certain degree because it's marketing, but you do have to make that a focal point. You do have to be loud about it. You do have to shout it from the rooftops a little bit, otherwise it won't change. You can go well back into World War II. It's kind of different, but it's the same kind of thing in the sense that, the whole reason that we should always talk about World War II and the things that happened and the Holocaust and the people that died and, Jews and whatever else is because if we don't keep talking about it, it could happen again. You have to remember. And I'm not saying this is the same as the Holocaust or anything like that, but I'm saying if something bad happens and we know that we need to overcome it, you absolutely need to have the conversation, because if you don't, all that stuff starts happening again because people forget. That is literally what happens. You can look it up. It's happened before. So that's the only thing that I got a bit confused about is I don't... But so we don't talk about that again. But again, the main thing is, what does it mean to be a man? What is masculinity? And I mean, to me, being a man and masculinity is whatever you want it to be. And that's where, again, this is where I really do get perplexed, because if you want to go around and you don't want to cry and you want to crush beer cans and you want to watch football, I'm just coming up with stereotypes. So you want to go to the gym? I go to the gym. Great, do it. And I hope you have the best time ever. I hope you're really happy. You just do what you want to do. However, on the other end of the scale, if there is someone that wants to cry a lot, we are literally repeating ourselves from Friday. They want to cry a lot. They don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to watch football. They want to do whatever they want to do. Okay, the classic one, right? It's feminine to wear makeup. Man wears makeup. Oh, you can't do that. Yeah, you can. You're not hurting anyone. You're not doing anything immoral. You can do whatever you want. That's my thing. And I think this ties into this is why I felt like I needed to talk about it, because I think that's what these videos are all about. That when these things do happen, there is always a spark. And there always will be a spark, because social media's given everybody a voice. And you react. You don't really think about it. You just react to what you're seeing. But that's why I think it's so important to talk about. It kind of ties into the whole vlog series, this, because no matter how much we do talk about it, until we're all on the same page, which can never happen, because it's just not the way of the human race, we should always keep continuing to talk about it. Because otherwise, it is never going to get any better. And I get it. I see it from maybe a different point of view from most, but it's just my opinion. And it means as much as yours or as much as anybody else's. It doesn't need to be taken to heart. That's the other thing I find a lot as well. Kind of, if I make a video like this and I kind of stamp my flag in the ground, some people react to it and go, oh, well, he's wrong. I don't agree. And I am wrong in your world. And I don't mean that in a patronizing way, in the same way that in my world, I'm right, because we just view the world a different way. And it'd be so much better if we could have a dialogue, we could have a discussion, and try and meet somewhere in the middle. Because you'll have your reasons for feeling the way you do. If you saw that Gillette advert and it annoyed you for some reason, there's probably, likely, a good reason why it did. Maybe you think they are taking movements like the Me Too and trying to use it for marketing purposes. Again, that's not my thoughts. I'm just trying to come up with a way. Maybe you do feel like it's pandering. Maybe you just feel it ties into an even bigger problem. I'm not a problem to me. I'm just, using it from this magical person I've created, where you think everything's too political correct in 2019. Then yeah, there's an argument for that, certainly. But again, I think it's reflective of the time we're living in, where we're trying to hopefully understand people a bit better and allow people to live their lives they want to live, because that's a really big one for me. And I don't think that's something we actually have talked about it on a vlog before, which is interesting, because we usually go over everything over and over again. And I know this is a bit depressing and a bit negative, but sometimes you have to face facts. We are only given, as far as we know, one shot at this life. And when you really think about it, you don't get that long. It's kind of terrifying in many ways, that this amazing, I'm going to sound hippy-trippy, but this amazing gift that is life. And a lot of people don't get it, or if they do, they don't get to experience it for 80 or so years. It comes and it goes pretty quickly. And if you want to wear makeup, or you want to be a feminine male, using words that are already out there, or you want to be a masculine feminine or female, or whatever, however you want to put it, you should be allowed to do that, as long as you're not affecting or upsetting anybody else's life. When I say affecting, I mean in a negative sense. Like if you do X and there's some kind of immorality to it or negative context to it that hurts someone else, so that is different because you're affecting someone else. But otherwise, and again, that's probably there's probably an exception to that rule as well. Because like, let's say that Darren wears makeup and that upsets his dad. That's not Darren's fault. Darren should absolutely keep wearing makeup. Anyway, you get my point. What I'm trying to say is nobody should have their life marginalized or switched around to the point where they're not happy, because, hippy trippy, that is what every day should be. How do you get from midnight to 11:59 on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and get to it when you get into bed and go, you know what, I had a good day, I got to be me, and I'm pretty happy. And that's why, in another sense, maybe this one is a little bit too on the nose, if you are getting mad at an advert and that's your biggest problem of the day, ain't the worst thing in the world. You could probably kind of shrug your shoulders a little bit and go, but you don't have to either. That's just my thought. So look, I'll always talk about this stuff, especially when people do ask me on social media. Doubly so because, to ignore it almost seems a little bit disingenuous. So we've talked about it now. There's a comment box below. You can let me know what you think. I'm sure some people agree. I'm sure some people disagree. Again, let's try and keep it nice. Nothing wrong with being a bit nice. Maybe I've missed something, and maybe you can educate me a little bit. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I thought it was a powerful advert. I think it will help Gillette, maybe not help them in other means. I know the YouTube video's done something like 200,000 dislikes, and the dislikes outweigh the likes. But hey, it's interesting if nothing else, and it's an intriguing situation. We live in very different and very interesting times, and I'd be intrigued to see where we are in 5-10 years. Because this is almost like where social media is. It's embedded now. It's just normal. You know, it's not as exciting as it was 10 years ago. As what's Facebook? What's Twitter? Think of all the social medias we've lost along the way because they couldn't make a dent, and now we kind of have our big 3 or 4. But that's what I think. Again, comments, let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. All this supported by Patreon if you want to go help out. Description in the link below. I'll sign off, and I'll see you later in the week.